Hello there, welcome to Monday edition of Business Nigeria. It's the beginning of a new week. I am Tolulope Ogunjobi. Well, let's start with this story that the Nigerian Stock Exchange has sanctioned 8 banks with fines totaling 102 million naira for failing to file their financial reports as required. The exchange sanction regimes direct 14 companies to pay fines ranging from 100,000 naira to 1 million naira. The NSE requires quoted companies to file their unaudited quarterly accounts not later than 30 calendar days after the relevant quarters. Well, the account should also be published within 5 business days after the date of filing in at least 2 national newspapers while posting their results on the company's website. The offending banks are Unity Bank, Diamond Bank, Fidelity Bank, Union Bank, First Bank, Sterling Bank, Wema Bank, and Federal FCMB. And also the exchange said it applies sanctions in accordance with the rules of filing accounts and treatment of default filing in the rules of the exchange. Well, I have a stockbroker joining me via phone to briefly look at this, Charles Fakrota. Hello, Charles. Good afternoon. Charles, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Now, what's your direct reactions to the sanction by the NSE, talking about 102 million naira with regards to banks over failures of declaring financial statements as at when due?
Yes, like you said in your intro, it's a very simple process that is called post-listing requirement. All issuers, listed companies, they are all aware that you must submit your report quarterly, half-yearly, and annually. Now, stipulated time, this report will get to the stock exchange. If those reports do not get to the exchange after when due, of course, there are fines that will be paid by this listed company. And that is what just happened. So, for us, we'll just encourage and remind these listed companies that they should be up and in their responsibility as a listed company. So those fines, those penalties should not be the hinting for any of them. They should endeavor to ensure that this report gets to the exchange as at when due. Because it also shows how they are being managed, and it helps investors to take decisions. So if your report comes as at when due, investors will have information, and that will inform the kind of decisions they will take. But if your reports are not coming as at when due, investors are also affected. The market is affected. So as regulators, NSE will do what is required to ensure that listed companies comply.
Okay, so this is not sending any negative signal in any form. Is that what you're insinuating?
It is not sending any negative signal in any form. It's a routine process that every listed company is aware. However, maybe those companies that were sanctioned, they might have 1 or 2 issues that are also avenues they can communicate to get to the regulators before these decisions are taken. So it's just to encourage issuers, listed companies, to follow or play by the rules.
Okay, before I let you go now, you sure that some earlier had this discussion and they're talking about delay. Why would you think a bank would also delay in bringing out reports or submitting reports to the Nigerian Stock Exchange as at when due? Are you sure they don't have some challenges one way or the other before they also get the reports through to the NSE, or would they just willingly not want to submit as at when due?
Yes, of course. Any human endeavor, there are challenges. So I'm sure those listed companies might have had 1 or 2 challenges. And the exchange needs to do its job. It's a requirement. And we need to be seen to ensure that the market is free, fair, and transparent. Yes, like for those banks that have issues with CBN trying to approve before they submit and all that. Like I said, if there are challenges that will actually delay their submission. Yes, these listed companies know the process, what they should follow, the communication channel before it gets to this level. Maybe they did not follow it one way or the other. That is why these penalties are coming. Because I know the exchange has enough leeway for them. What if you know you are not going to submit as I went to? There are communication channels you need to follow so that the exchange is aware. And of course, the market is also aware that this social and so company, their results will not come as I went to. Yes, now that must be followed. If it is not followed, of course, the exchange has no option than to just plead these penalties of this company.
Charles Farko Gade, stockbroker live from Florida Nigerian Stock Exchange. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on this very important topic. Thank you. On February 2nd, President Muhammadu Buhari signed an executive order to promote science and technology and participation of indigenous companies in our national development. The document states that the Ministry of Science and Technology will establish centers for technology acquisition across the country. Ministry of Education will encourage the inclusion of public procurement process in school curriculum, and the federal government will provide intervention funds to establish new programs for emerging technology. It further states that the Federal Inland Revenue Service and Ministry of Finance will ensure companies and artisans take or are granted tax incentives to boost production. This move by government will boost the enabling environment for domestic investment and ensure participation of Nigerians in the management of the economy. Well, I have in the studio the president of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria and the person of Mr. Olumuyiwa Alade Ajibola. Thank you very much for talking to us. We'll be speaking on this and also issues affecting the association. Let's start with this. Professionals participating in nation building, economic development. We've been talking about this. You preside over these professionals. How has the involvement been with some government projects and all of that?
Well, I would say it's been anything but very formal and sustainable. The way it has been, it's been sporadic, it's been as and when the government feels they need them. Whereas one would have felt that to make development sustainable, it will have had an ongoing relationship with the professionals in a manner that will allow them to not only advise, but guide and also be involved in the implementation of projects.
So we've not really gotten there?
No, I'm afraid.
I know that we have different professional bodies. We know what we discuss with many of them. Many of them even come on our program to also discuss issues surrounding them. Why do we now need an association again to cover professional bodies?
Well, this is a very interesting question. I'd like to say this to start with. Why do you need the African Union, for instance? Because each country on its own is self-sufficient. Why do you need the G8 and other organizations that are bringing value to their members and bringing value to others through their association? The idea of the APBN is to be able to harness the very significant and very profound qualities of professionals in a one-stop shop where we can now come out with very useful and very concrete solutions to national problems and, of course, advice to government. And, of course, even the private sector needs this type of intervention from professionals.
It sounds we're talking about advice here now, because we know that we need to put heads together for us to be able to get good policies.
Yes.
How far have your association been able to impact positively on the Nigerian economy? I know a lot has happened, so tell us, how has it been?
You see, in the various professions,
yes,
you have the experts. They do what they need to do. But these days, life is, we're in the digital age, and life is much more of a combination of professions rather than individual professions going in their shells. It's been very, very important for the professions to come together and move to ensure that they can get a unified position on issues such that it will lead to national development. What we have done in the past is we've looked at budgets, we've held pre-budget meetings that all the professions will analyze the proposals, and when the budget has been passed, of course, we will send our advice to government, and post-budget analysis, we also go through it. And we also look at policies that come out from government. Each time they come out, we analyze them, we see whether they are fit for purpose or they are just something that is imported, which may not really fit the domestic situation. So there are so many levels at which we tend to intervene. However, one of the issues that we have noticed in the past is that there has been a foray of foreign professionals being entertained to advise government, and government seem to be taking the advice hook, line, and sinker without reference to us. And this is an area that we are looking at very seriously, because or in fact, most of the time, it does not include what the prevailing conditions in the country are. So the policies are not really domesticated. But we would like to have a look at every policy. We would like to even be involved in negotiations with respect to foreign aids and whatnot, or loans and things, policies affecting them. Because those policies could make and unmake an attempt to do the best for the country. In that, if there are clauses that are hidden there that the professionals know that are not so favorable to us, they can point it out at an early stage. So we've been looking at this. Sometimes we are able to meet with government. Most of the times we are only talking like everybody
Exactly. I wanted
else.
to ask, how receptive has government been to, you've been in this for a long time, before you become the president of it. How has government been taking some of your suggestions, you know?
Well, you know, government is a different entity completely. And so many factors are responsible for what government does.
I agree with you.
The thing that is very important, that would be very important to us, is for government to have to open a link with us, a positive and direct link, so that we can always at least be able to speak and advise, and also even take instructions that are useful to us from government. But we don't have that link, so we have to go all the kind of ways we can, through the media, through our individual, professional societies or institutions, and so on and so forth, which is not so clean. I think if we are on the mailing list of the government, if we are we have a constant link with the government, then there will be more interactive situation, and we will be able to help more, because professionals indeed are some of the most patriotic Nigerians you can find.
Now I went through your citation, your CV, and I saw a professional engineer. Now, looking at, even with an international exposure, now looking at what we have in this part of the world, infrastructure deficit. We've been talking about this. I did a study, and even from the ICRC, that's the Concession and Regulatory Council,
Yes.
they are saying that infrastructure, they're saying that we need trillions of naira if we are to get where we should get to.
Yes.
Government cannot fund this.
Absolutely.
How do we get it right?
You see, these days, I said earlier, we are in the digital age. There is explosion of everything. Population explosion, knowledge explosion, and so on and so forth. Now, the truth is that when you want to satisfy, you want to move to the next level, you have to look at what is really effective and yielding results in other climes. Now, public-private partnership is a device that is recent and is already being absorbed by our country. We have the ICRC, as you said, and there is a lot of professionals now. There are a few professionals that have developed along the lines of the ICRC. Now, it is very important that we imbibe this process, because this process more or less draws money from the private sector, works by itself, and pays back itself more or less in most cases. Although there are some cases where government pays, but they can agree the payment schedule. Different from you have to pay before they work. So public-private partnership is a very virile instrument for getting the infrastructure deficit balanced. However, it needs care, it needs professionalism. That's where you need professions. And it's not some of the ones that we've had that have not been successful were like, they were at the time that the concept has not been fully imbibed and developed.
Because I heard this argument of contractual agreements, the government not meeting up their demands, or the private sector not meeting their own part of the agreement, and then problems start crumbling up.
You see, the agreement is very, very detailed and complex. But nobody should go into any agreement unless they are satisfied that they can fulfill their own parts of the agreement. Whether it be government, whether it be the private sector, and that we have seen many successful PPPs all over the world. For instance, some of the candidates that qualify easily one of them is the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which is the biggest, is the one that generates the highest level of either cargo or even passenger transportation. And you can easily recover your money. And so, if this were to be structured properly, professionally, then it's like government would say, do, and they go to sleep. But then all the professionals must be involved to ensure that the agreement that will be gone into is fair and proper to all concerned
parties. Fair and proper to all concerned parties, so that everybody can honor their part of the agreement.
Yes.
Well, we've talked about PPP. So as we move on now, you also said professionals need to also key into this development, talking about if we're going to address infrastructure deficit. What else do we expect from professionals as we move on? Don't forget, Nigeria just got out of recession, and many are still saying that if we don't act right, we might slip back to recession. Even the central bank said that.
Absolutely.
So the IMF has warned. So what roles will professionals play in helping us put our economy back to where it's supposed to be?
Well, again, the digital age. I keep mentioning this because
you're correct.
It's the time that disruptive ideas move economies. They cause transformation. And who are the ones that really figure out these disruptive ideas? They are the professionals. And if they do, when they do, they know what to put together to ensure that the innovation resulting will benefit all. And of course, whoever is doing that wants to benefit himself a lot.
That's true.
But then we need to think outside the box. That's what I'm saying. There is need to think outside the box and to engage professionals. Professionals are ready to cut across their boundaries and come together to be able to move on projects that will change the situation, to be able to even dream the projects that will change the situation. But there must be a good government institutions, the institutions of government must function properly. If they don't function properly, no matter how much genius you demonstrate, you cannot get anything. Because sometimes you need certification, sometimes you need approvals, and so on and so forth along the line. For instance, I mean, if you look at the issue of the interswitch, that was a disruptive idea at the time. But they needed all sorts of approvals, Central Bank, Ministry of Finance, and so on and so on. But it took time to get it, but then they got it. That's the essence of professionalism and the professions. We are putting together the young professionals this day. This is one of the pillars of the administration that I'm leading. We are putting them together to come with disruption, to help us to look at what we need to do, that we can do much better to be able to make that sure that our country does not go back into recession, that we move forward positively.
President, Association of Professional Bodies in Nigeria, Mr. Olumiwa Alade Ajibola, we wish you a successful turnaround. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Nigeria today, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, before we go, I'm maybe getting figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange that the market closed negative the first work day of the week, down 0.18%, if I got that clearly. From feeds I got from the exchange. Well, so 0.18%, yes, down. That's the all-share index. Well, as usual, we'll be bringing you up to speed with these figures and our trading, the trading pattern at the NSE. Crude oil prices marginally added weight to last week's quote early on Monday amidst fears over production and supplies. America is believed to have pumped over 2 million barrels of shale crude per day to market in clear attempt to depress prices after putting sanctions on Iranian oil market. OPEC is worried about revenue due to deeply caught by sustained overproduction activities. OPEC leaders are proposing meeting early 2019 to work on production outputs and supplies by members. That's our package for you today on Business Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. Let's do this again in 24 hours, God willing. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day.